Let's talk about something that drives me absolutely crazy, and I have a feeling it drives you crazy too. Have you ever noticed that you're just about to do something that could change your life, and then somehow you get in your own way? Maybe you're about to get a promotion. Maybe your relationship is getting serious, or you're finally ready to launch that business you've been dreaming about. And then you procrastinate. You pick a fight. You convince yourself you're not ready. Somehow you sabotage the very thing you've been working toward. Sound familiar? Stick around, because today we're uncovering the hidden reason you sabotage your own success, and more importantly, how to stop it. Welcome to FuggaBRAT. I'm Shelbi Fox. Okay. Today we're talking about why your brain keeps getting in your own way. This isn't random, it's actually a pattern. And once you understand what's happening inside your brain, you'll finally be able to stop letting it run the show. Hello, self-sabotage. And here's the wild part. Your brain thinks it's protecting you. Picture this. You're a kid about to jump off the high dive for the very first time. You've climbed all those scary steps. You're standing at the edge, and suddenly your brain screams, nope. And you climb back down. Or this. You decide you're getting in shape. You're motivated. You have a plan. You're ready. Day 1, you follow through. Day 2, still consistent. Then one day you miss a workout. You're tired. You tell yourself, I'll just take that day off. And that's where it changes. Your brain goes from, I missed a day, to, I'm already off track. So instead of just picking it back up the next day, you skip again. You stop paying attention to your routine. You tell yourself you'll start over later. Days go by, and now something that started so strong feels like something you failed at. Not because you couldn't do it, but because one moment turned into this entire story. Now, here's my favorite. When you decide to get serious about your money, you're saving, you're paying attention, you're doing well. Then one day you spend money you didn't plan to spend. It's not a big purchase, but your brain treats it like it's the biggest purchase of your life. It goes from that one purchase to, I really messed up. And once you've thought, you spend a little more. You stop tracking. You tell yourself you'll reset later. And just like that, you're back where you started. You just didn't know what you were doing. Basically, one decision became a reason to stop. And that is precisely what happens with success. You see, your brain is wired to protect you, not to take risks. It follows a simple rule: better safe than sorry. So when something really good is about to happen, something new, uncertain, or high stakes, it doesn't always read that as exciting. It reads it more like it's unpredictable. And unpredictable feels like danger. So instead of encouraging you to move forward, your brain panics and starts scanning for all the things of what could go wrong. It brings up doubt, hesitation, second guessing. Then you start questioning yourself. What if I mess this up? What if people expect too much from me now? What if I can't handle being successful? So your brain hits the emergency brake. It makes you late to important meetings. It convinces you to send that super mean email. It whispers, you don't deserve this anyway. The crazy thing, failure feels familiar and safe. Success feels scary and unknown. Your brain would rather keep you in a comfortable struggle than risk an uncomfortable win. But for now, just notice when that retreat feeling shows up right before something good happens. Now that we know why your brain hits this panic button right before something good happens, here's the playbook. These are simple ways to catch the sabotage voice in the moment and redirect it. First, become the pattern detective. Notice when you get in your own way. Keep a note on your phone, write down 3 things. What good thing is about to happen? What did you do to mess it up? And what excuse did your brain give to you? For example, someone's about to get promoted. The night before the final interview, you stay up until 3 a.m., you binge watch Netflix instead of preparing. The brain says, I need to relax. The real reason was fear of higher expectations. Okay? Second, this is what I call the 48-hour rule. When something exciting is coming up, your sabotage brain usually gets loud about 48 hours before it happens. That's when you suddenly want to quit. That's when you want to cancel or you create some unnecessary drama. Knowing this changes everything. It's kind of like when you pick fights with your friend or your girlfriend or boyfriend or family the night before a gathering or meeting the parents or going to a special dinner. Once that pattern is recognized, then you can pause and think, this is just my sabotage brain trying to keep me safe. Third, this is the comfort zone alarm. Your body will give you signals when you're about to grow. You might feel this sudden exhaustion before this big opportunity. You get this random illness, this sickness right before an important event. Or suddenly you get busy with all these meaningless little tasks. That's your nervous system trying to keep things familiar. It's like you'd rather deep clean the entire house instead of working on a pitch. It feels productive, but when it's happening right before something, it's not good. Fourth is the future self-check-in. When you feel the urge to pull back, ask yourself one question. Will future me thank me for this? Or will future me be frustrated that I walked away from it? Think about it. Fifth, this is the sabotage translator. First, start translating what your brain is saying. When your brain says, I'm not ready, translate that to, I'm scared, but I'm capable. When it says, this won't work anyway, translate that to, this might actually work, and that scares me. It's trying to keep you safe based on old patterns. But the good news is, you're not stuck there. Because once you can see what it's doing and recognize it in real time, you're no longer operating on autopilot. You have a moment, however small, where you can choose something different. And that's where things start to change. So, instead of just understanding the pattern, we're now going to do something about it. I'm going to give you 5 simple strategies that you can actually use to interrupt that response. You can start redirecting it and start creating different outcomes to stop these patterns from running your life. Okay. Think of your brain like a hiking trail. Self-sabotage is that well-worn path that you've walked 1,000 times. It's easy, it's automatic, and it doesn't lead anywhere new. Today, we're going to build this new trail, one that leads to progress instead of just staying safe. Our first strategy is the replacement ritual. You just can't stop a habit. You have to replace the habit. When you feel sabotage creeping in, you need a go-to action. Take me, for example. Every time I got close to putting something out, like launching something or posting it with my podcast, I would suddenly find a reason that it wasn't ready. And it sounded reasonable. The wording could be better. The visuals weren't right. We should just tweak one more thing. But actually, those things didn't matter because hitting publish meant people could see it, not because it actually needed fixing. That was the real part. So I gave myself something simple to do in that moment. When I caught myself going into that loop, I stopped. I took a deep breath and I did one thing that moved it forward. Not perfect, not polished, just one action. And that was post it, send it, share it. I realized that the problem was never the content. It was a moment right before I had to let it go. That one small action broke the loop. And once I did it a few times, it got easier. The second strategy is rehearsing success. So your brain sabotages what feels unfamiliar. So we make success feel familiar. Here's how you do this. You spend approximately 5 minutes a day imagining yourself handling success well. See yourself getting that promotion, managing it confidently. See yourself in that relationship, being supported and staying present instead of pulling away. The more your brain experiences this success mentally, the less threatening that it feels. The reason this works is because your brain does not draw a clean line between something that is vividly imagined and something that is actually experienced. When you mentally rehearse a situation in detail, your brain activates many of the same neural pathways that it would use as if it was happening in real life. It's not just a thought. It becomes kind of this internal practice. Your brain is paying attention to the repetition, the emotion, the outcome, and it starts to store it as a reference point. So when you imagine yourself handling success well by staying calm, staying confident, and staying steady, your brain begins to recognize that state as something familiar. And anything unknown can trigger hesitation or avoidance, even if it's something that you want. But when you've already been there, in your mind just a few times, your brain doesn't react to it the same way. It doesn't feel like a shock to the system. It feels more like something that it's already navigated. So there's also some emotional component to this. When you visualize success, you're not just seeing it, you're feeling it. And those emotional experiences get paired with the scenario. Over time, that pairing changes your baseline response. Instead of associating success with pressure or uncertainty, your brain starts associating it with capability and control. When the real moment shows up, you're not walking into something completely unfamiliar. You're stepping into something your brain already recognizes. And that recognition reduces the need to pull back or sabotage because it no longer feels like it's a threat. The third strategy is the micro commitment. Big goals trigger big fear. So we make the goal smaller. Instead of trying to do everything all at once, you commit to one simple step, even if it feels uncomfortable. For me, again, with the podcast, I had a topic, the outline, I knew exactly what I wanted to say, but when it came time to actually record, I would stall. I tell myself I needed more time, a better setup. I find small things to adjust instead of just starting. So I changed the goal. My only commitment was to press record, not to be perfect, not to say everything right, not to overthink how it sounded, just press record. And that was it. And once I did that consistently, everything else started to fall into place. The recording stopped feeling like something I had to build up. The fourth strategy is the support squad. You tell someone you trust about your pattern and what it looks like when it starts. Yes, you heard me. You let them know what to watch for. And when you're about to sabotage, they can step in and call you out. Like there were times that I was going to stop and not post, and suddenly I'd get busy. I'd start tweaking things. I had a friend and they told me, listen, you're stalling. If I said I started to overthink or delay, or I needed just one more thing, or that's not me, or it's just I'm avoiding things, blah, blah, blah. I gave them permission to call me out on it. So the next time that it happened, they didn't agree with me. They didn't let me just sit with it. They said, hey, you're doing it again. Nothing else changed. Just post it. And in that moment, I didn't need more time. I needed someone outside my own head to just interrupt the pattern. When someone else can see clearly and say it out loud, it breaks that loop. And that one interruption is sometimes all it takes to get you moving again. The fifth and most powerful strategy is what I call the identity decision. At some point, it stops being about the moment and starts being about who you're choosing to be. Because in every one of these situations, there's a quiet question underneath it all. Not what should I do, but who am I right now? Am I the person that pulled back when things get uncomfortable? Or am I the person who follows through even when it feels unfamiliar? In that moment where your brain is telling you to hesitate, delay, or back out, instead of arguing with the thought or trying to eliminate the fear, you anchor it to that identity. You decide, I'm someone who finishes what I start. I'm someone who shows up. I'm someone who follows through even when it's uncomfortable. And then you act from that place, not because the fear went away, but because your decision about who you are became stronger than the reaction that you were having. That's what creates real change. Because when you're consistent and act from a chosen identity, your brain starts to update to that new normal. What once felt unfamiliar starts to feel expected. What once triggered hesitation starts to feel like part of who you are. And over time, it's no longer something that you have to push through. It's just how you operate. These patterns don't form overnight, and they won't disappear overnight. Give yourself some time to build something new. Consistency matters more than perfection. Every single small step is part of creating a different path. Listen to me carefully. You're a human being who learned to protect yourself the only way that you knew how. Staying small, playing it safe, pulling back before life could actually disappoint you. But protection and growth cannot exist at the same time. The very walls that you built to keep pain out are now keeping it in your life. Every single day, you get to choose. Will you let your past write your future, or will you pick up the pen and be fearless and write it yourself? Now, your dreams didn't come to you by accident. They showed up because you were capable of bringing them to life. That vision you have, the one that scares you and excites you at the same time, that's direction. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for that fear to go away. The fear isn't going anywhere, but neither are you unless you decide to move anyway. You have survived every hard day you have faced. You've made it through everything in life so far. That's proof. You are stronger than your excuses and braver than your fear and more capable than your doubts. Your time is now. Your moment is here. Stop rehearsing your limitations and start practicing your power. The world needs what you have. Go claim it. We covered why your brain sabotages you right when things start to go right, how to actually catch it happening in real time, and what you can do about those patterns running your life. The biggest takeaway is to know that nothing you're doing is random. There's a pattern behind it. And once you see it, you can change it. If this hit home for you, don't just listen and move on. Go back and notice where it's showing up in your life. Catch it in real time. Try one of these strategies. That's where things start to go from understanding to actually doing something different. And if you know someone who constantly gets in their own way or keeps repeating the same patterns, send this to them, because a lot of people don't realize what's happening. They just think something's wrong with them. And sometimes all it takes is hearing it explained in a way that finally makes sense. Thanks for spending time with me on FuggaBRAT. I'm Shelbi Fox. And remember, where you are is where it's at.